sacrificial ceremonies performed by Vasudeva. So it's Vasudeva, the father of Krishna. So we are now still at the Kurukṣetra place during the solar eclipse, and we're now getting a description of the sages' teachings there. Let's see. So first of all, among the women present at Kurukṣetra during the solar eclipse were Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, and the queens of many other kings, as well as the gopis from Vrindavan. Because we're now following from the previous chapter where we were reading, Draupadi was asking 8 of the principal queens of Krishna, their backstory, how they met Krishna, actually how they got married to him. And so now we're continuing from there. So when the different queens of Lord Krishna were submitting their statements as to how they had been married and accepted by Lord Krishna as his wives, all the female members of the Kuru dynasty were struck with wonder. They were filled with admiration at how all the queens of Krishna were attached to him with love and affection. When they heard about the queen's intensity of love and affection for Krishna, they could not check their eyes from filling with tears. You also are able to read, or how is that?
Yes, I have actually I have it also up here from the database.
Okay, so you want to chip in now or later?
Okay, yeah, I can. Well, the women were engaged in conversation among themselves, and the men were similarly engaged in conversation. They arrived from all directions, almost all the important sages and ascetics who had come for the purpose of seeing the Lord Krishna and Balaram. Chief among the sages were Krishna Vaipayana Vyas, the great sage Narada, Shavana, Devala, Asita, Vishvamitra, Shatananda, Bharadvaj, Gautama, Lord Parashurama, along with his disciples, Vasishta, Balava, Brigu, Pulastya, Kashyapa, Atri, Markandeya, Brihaspati, Dvita, Trita, Ekata, the 4 Kumaras, sons of Rama, Sanaka, Sanadana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, Angira, Agastya, Yavalkya, and Vamadev.
Super. So should we try and find out who all these sages and kings are?
Yeah, sure.
Of course, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. So that's another name of Vyasa Deva. The Vyasa simply means, it's a title, by the way. It's not actually, you can say his original name, but it's like a title. Krishna Dvaipayana is actually his name, as far as I understand. It means he who was born, or he's hailing from a Dvipa. Yeah. Dvipa means island. Yeah, he was born on an island.
Oh.
And he's actually called Krishna because he's an incarnation of Krishna. Yeah, so it's the incarnation of Krishna born on an island. And the story is that it was Satyavati, the daughter of a fisherman. She was smelling as fish also, by the way. So she had a job to take the boat over from A to B. Rowing. She was strong. So once upon a time, this sage, she also wanted to. The sage name was Parasharamuni. Yeah, he's the one who gave us the Vishnu Purana. Yeah. So she was rowing him over to the other side with the boat, but actually she didn't get far because he got attracted to her, and they decided that they should actually make a child. so Parashuramuni, he for the occasion he manifested. They found a nice island on the way, so they just went there, and he manifested a big cloud, so nobody could see what they were doing. And she got pregnant immediately. This is actually how devatas are making children. The child is immediately manifested. There's no 9 months waiting. And so in that way, she got the great sage Vyasadeva, who thus was called Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. And lo and behold, Vyasadeva, immediately after he was born, what did he do? He just walked away because he was already full with knowledge. So he's just the ultimate ascetic. Have you seen a picture of Vyasadeva?
Yes.
He's blue. He's bluish,
Yeah.
and he looks extremely ascetic.
I heard he was
He
There's
was-
some stories about his appearance.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then you have Narada. So Narada is he is basically, you can say, he's the sage of the devas, of the gods. So he's especially a Shakti-avesha incarnation of Krishna's Bhakti Shakti. So he's the eternal Bhakta or Bhakti preacher. So he has given us a corpus of literature called Narada Pancharatra. So that means all the worship literature, how to do the worship, and also all the Bhakti literature. Basically, it's all in his vein. Yeah. And then Chiyavana, you heard about Chiyavana?
Sure.
Isn't that is that the great sage? Yeah, who was like he was like old and invalid. This story is also in the Bhagavatam. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
had 5 sons or something, and asked them to for his youth back, or was that the king? No, that was the king.
What did you say? Sorry. Yeah.
I was thinking about the old and invalid was actually the king who had a few sons and was the youngest who took his youth in trade for.
Oh no, that's another one. That's another one. That's Yati. You see, Chiyavana actually is connected also with age. You see, he was a great sage. It's like a peculiar story. He was actually so Jesus. So he was just sitting right up and down and meditating, and there was like nobody could see where he was because he was just covered by an anthill or something like that. And so there was like a bunch of there was a king and his soldiers were out hunting, and then they stopped for a while, and then one of these soldiers he kind of looked into, and he saw there was 2 kind of eyes or something in there, and he took his arrow and he just pricked out the 2 eyes. Maybe he thought it was a dangerous animal or something. So in that way, this Chiyavana became blind, and he emerged, from the anthill, and he was already, old and invalid. So he just actually before that happened, what happened was that all of these soldiers of and the king included, they it's explained in the Bhagavatam. Okay, they got constipation, so they couldn't go to the toilet. So they wondered what bad thing have we done. And then, he emerged from the anthill, and they started, oh, we're sorry, and, please can you forgive us, because they didn't want to be cursed, So the sage said, okay, just give me your daughter. And she was a beautiful daughter. So I don't remember what's her name again? I forgot her name, but anyway, she Kanya Kumari maybe, yeah. So she became the daughter, and she was completely beautiful, and he was ugly and invalid like that. And she just tended him and cared for him, cooked for him, and she just was at the beck and call of the sage 24/7 basically. And then she, how was the story? I forgot, but anyway, the details are we're not getting into that. But anyway, there were these 2 celestial physicians. You remember the name? The twins, Ashwini Kumaras. Some or other, they were there, and they said, actually, we can help, we can help you. Actually, she was doing some tapasya or something, and she got, their favor. I don't remember the story. She pleased them, these 2, physicians, and they said, we can make your husband, a nice young body, and get rid of his blindness so he can see again. And so it was okay. So then you can just jump in this. We have made a celestial lake here, and your husband can just jump into this lake, and when he gets out, he will be looking completely young and beautiful, and he will have his eyesight back. And so the king, So the sage Chiyavana, he said, how can I trust you? That it's not, I will not die or something. So then the Ashwini Kumar said, look, we are jumping into the lake. So they jumped into the lake, and then Chiavana followed. And then he transformed, but he looked exactly the same as the two, Ashwinis, because they all looked renewed, young and beautiful like that. And so then, the princess, she didn't know really who is who. But then the story very mystically, it says that some or other she just picked him. So some or other she could pick still, the right man.
Like a spiritual vision.
Yeah. So and then after that, Indra, he was on the case of the two Ashwinis, because they for every sacrifice the Ashwinis, they wanted to have the share in. When everybody's doing a Vedic yaga, they're saying all the names of all the demigods. Of course, Indra is the first one. Then you have Agni is always mentioned. You have all the demigods. But the two Ashwini Kumars, they were in the bottom of the list of the devatas because they're just physicians. Doctors. It's not like in the Vedic hierarchy of demigods. They're not the highest, so they couldn't. So Indra said, these two, they shouldn't have any share in the sacrifice. When anybody is doing a Vedic sacrifice, they shouldn't get nothing. But then actually they wanted to, so they asked Shivana, can you help us out? So they were actually there, when there is somebody did a sacrifice, and they were there to take the share. And then Indra, he just attacked them, said, why are you two guys there again? I told you, not to be here. And then Shivana, he just created, some demon to just run after or attack Indra, And Indra, he just run like hell. And he said, okay, I'm sorry, you from now on, you will always have a share in the sacrifice. And then Chiavana, he just pulled back, the demon. So Chiavana is a really special person. Yeah.
All right.
Did it make sense?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so Asita and Devala, you remember their names are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita? They're mentioned in the 10th chapter. Arjuna says, you are the best.
Yeah.
And this is confirmed by all the sages, including Asita and Devala.
Yes.
So it's like, who are these, Asita and Devala? They're mentioned, usually when you have a list of names, some or other, they just include Asita and Devala in the list. But otherwise, it's not much information. It's like they're mostly mentioned in the scriptures in some kind of lists. They're listing like so many sages, then there are, but there are actually not that much mentioned. But it's said that there are, I think they're sons of Kashyapa Muni. Kashyapa Muni, who created, who had a wife who gave birth to all the demons. Another wife gave birth to all the demigods. So
I'm not very familiar with all this family history of the different sources of creation, but
okay. So anyway, so they are just they're always mentioned as father and son usually. Asita is the father and Devala is the son, and sometimes they're mentioned as one person, but I think that must be incorrect. Yeah. So anyway. There is like some reference from the Shastra. It says, Asita produced a son who was well versed in the Vedas from his wife, and he was known as Devala. He was a great preceptor of yoga, and he did a lot of tapasya. Yeah. So in the Rig Veda also this Devala he's mentioned. So anyway, let's see. Yeah. Let's see, what are the other names here?
Vishwamitra.
Yeah, you heard about him probably. He's one of the most famous. So he's one of the Shapta Rishis. So you have a rishi. It's like a general term of all the sages, but Shapta Rishi is one of the same 7 principal rishis, and they stay for a long time. Do you have it's called the Big Dipper or whatever you call it in Norwegian. It's one star sign, with 7 stars, right?
Oh.
So he is one of them, yeah. And he had a beef with Vashishta. Well, actually, Vashishta is one of them. Sorry, I'm messing them up. Vishwamitra, he was actually Kshatriya, but he became a great sage, and he also got his own planet. by doing all this tapasya, he ended up. But anyway, it's a long story. But at least in the beginning he did so much tapasya, and then Menaka, Indra sent down Menaka from heavenly planets to tease him. So in that way he stopped his tapasya and he got a child. And then again he became so angry. He again sat down to meditate again. And then he became stronger and stronger. And finally he got so strong because he was at loggerheads with Vasishta. So they started kind of having a fight. I don't remember all of it, but then he created a planet as part of that. But this planet again, Vasishta, he sent that planet down again, and then he wanted the planet to go up, and then he sent it down. So in that way, the planet was just stuck in between heaven and the earth, and apparently it's still there.
That's so amazing. The power of some of these yogis.
Yeah. So it's
the planet.
It's funny, yeah. So in that way, Vishwamitra is famous for changing his caste from from being a Kshatriya to a Brahmana, actually, by his own effort. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted maybe to ask about it, but if we're gonna push on time.
No, you can ask shortly. Yeah.
Because usually, right, this change of profession is strictly prohibited, right?
Yeah. But if you're living in the Satya Yuga, you can do it because you have 100,000 years at your disposal.
Yeah.
So
I guess it is. I guess for the general populace, it's okay for it to be generally condemned to change your what is it, quality of work or.
Yeah, quality of work. I mean, Bhagavad Gita is saying just do your quality of work. Don't bother about that. Just be a devotee, right?
Essentially, yes. Your duties, perform your duties.
So let's see. The next one on the list is Shatanda. Yeah, so he's the son of Gautama. Gautama Rishi is one of the famous. So he had a wife named Alaya. Yeah, so he was a great, sage. Yeah, as all sages, he did a lot of tapasya. What more can you say? Yeah, he was a great sage. And then Bharadvaj. Oh, he's a more famous sage. He's really up there on the top 10 of the sages. So he was. How is that story again? Yeah, he's known as one of the same 7 rishis actually. And actually now I can see. Actually, I was not wrong because now I pulled up a list of 7 rishis, and it says the 7 rishis because they changed for each Manu. But it said actually in one list it says it's Kashyapa, who I already mentioned, who is the main Prajapati. And then it's Atri, Vasishta, of course, which I mentioned, and then Vishwamitra. So he's actually one of the same rishis. So he actually became one of the Sapta rishis just by his tapasya. That's actually incredible. And then Gautama is one of them, and Jamadagni and Bharadvaj is also one of them. Yeah. So what more can we say? Bharadvaj was. Do we have any stories of Bharadvaj? Yeah. One time Bharadvaj, he was studying the Vedas for many years, for like 100 years or something. This was back in the day when people lived longer. And then Indra came along, and how is it going with your studies? I mean, he said, it's going good. I think I know a lot now. And Indra said, just keep on studying. Okay, so he kept on studying the Vedas. Actually, all the scriptures, not just the Vedas. All Puranas, and Itihasas, and Upanishads, and Samhitas, and so then Indra came back. How is it going with study? It's going good. Actually, I think I'm pretty advanced now. No, you need to study more. So anyway, he came the 3rd time, and then Bharadvaj was asking, how much have I studied now in comparison to how much I'm supposed to know, right? Or to be fully realized. In comparison to how much I've studied now, how much is there left? Yeah. And you know what Indra did? Indra, he immediately created 3 big mountains of sand, like that, and then he took in his hand. He just picked in his hand, a bunch of sand. He said, Bharadvaja, my dear Bharadvaja, what you have studied until now is what I have in my hand. And what is left for full realization is what is these 3 mountains. And mind you, Bharadvaja, he had already studied over 100 years. Yeah. But he's known as one of the most studious of all the sages. So he's a really good, and he has a few books under his belt also. I don't remember the books right now. So some even says that there are several Bharadvajas, but I'm not so sure anyway. So yeah, okay. So next, who is the next sage? Gautama. Yeah. So Gautama Rishi is, yeah, as I mentioned, he was married to Alaya and had a son Shatananda. So Gautama, he's famous for a few things. Should I take the story, or what do you call this when there is a little bit unpleasant? What do you say? This trigger alert? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So okay. So it's a little, you can say, bad story. Sorry for that. But Gautama, he was married to Alaya, and Lord Indra, he came and he changed his shape, because Indra is sometimes known as being very lusty. So Gautama was out, on a trip, and Alaya was alone home. Beautiful wife he had, and Gautama, Indra, he long time he wanted to have an affair with Alaya, so he changed his body, his shape shifted, so he looked exactly like Gautama. Okay. And so he came, and she wondered, why did he come home early? Yeah, I found out, it's just too much to travel, And so she was happy. She thought her husband had returned. And then, when they made love, then she discovered, that one of the marks, on his body was not the same, that she was used to, So she understood this is an imposter. So she said, "Who are you?" And then Indra had to admit, that he's Indra. Yeah. And then, of course, she was angry, And then, Gautama, by his mystic power, he understood what had taken place. So he just came back, And he said, "Indra, I'm going to curse you, And you know how he cursed him? He said, yeah, you heard the story. He said, "You're so fond of, the vaginas, so I'll give you the whole body. Whole upper body. You will get vaginas." Yeah. And then, of course, Indra said, "Sorry, what can I do? And he started glorifying the sage and this and this. I'm very terrible, and I'll never do this. And please, can you maybe lessen a little bit, the curse, because I have an important job to do. He said, he's the master of, the Svarga, of the heavenly planets. So, okay, Gautama was satisfied by his, prayers and atonement by being very submissive and like this. So he said, "Okay, instead, I'll give you eyes all over the body instead of these, vaginas." So you can see some pictures of Indra where he has, small eyes all over his upper body. Yeah. And in some stories, Alaya, she actually became a stone. In some other versions of the story, and in those stories, then Alaya is released when Lord Rama is appearing in Ramayana, somewhere around this stone, and then she just becomes back to her normal form. Yeah. And then another story, Lord Parashurama, you know him?
Maybe you can remind me, because there are so many.
Yeah. So he's the famous, he was a Brahmana, and then once upon a time, his father, I forgot the name of his father. His father, he had a Surabi cow. Surabi cow can give you whatever you like. So it could give, everything, all milk products, of course. But then, you could get nice household furniture and, everything. And then there came this, some person who, I don't remember who, but he was a Kshatriya. I think it was Kartavirya Arjuna. It's not Arjuna, but Kartavirya Arjuna. And he started fighting, and maybe I'm mixing up two stories, but anyway, there was this great, Kshatriya came, and some or other he got this, he got this Surabi cow, and he killed, the father of Lord Parashuram to get that cow. Yeah. And then Parashuram, he became really pissed off, on all the kshatras. Not only that kshatriya which he finished up, but he wanted to take revenge on all the kshatras on the Earth planets. So he just went on a killing spree all over the planet, and he finished all of them. But he didn't take the children, of course. So again, they were expanding the kshatriya race. So after a few years, say 15, 20 years, he again went and finished all of them. And again, he went back, and again after 20 years, he again get back. So he just continued this for a few times, actually 21 times. So he said he was killing all the kshatriyas 21 times on Earth. Yeah.
But this is incarnation, right?
Yeah, it's an incarnation of Krishna's, you can say warrior Shakti. Yeah. So now I remember Parashuram's father was Jamadagni. Yeah. So So what happened? Yeah, it was actually Kartavirya Arjuna. Now I just checked the source. So he just wanted to have that cow so badly, and actually he was battling Parashuram. He was killing Jamadagni, and Parashuram then was battling Jamadagni and killed him and his whole army, and then he just went on. Yeah. Okay, so who is the next sage? Vasishta. We already mentioned him, right? Yeah. That is one of the Saptarishi. Yeah, and then we have Galvala. Galvala. How is that again? He's not mentioned that much. He was also active around the time when Parashuram was active. I think he's appearing in the Ramayana actually. Let's see. Anyway, we can go to the next one. Brigu, you remember he is the priest of the demigods. It was he who kicked Vishnu's chest to test who is the best of the demigods. He went to Brahma, he went to Shiva, and to Vishnu. He offended all of them. One he offended mentally, another he offended by words, and Vishnu he offended physically. He offended by words, I think, Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma became angry. He offended mentally Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva he wanted to kill him. He had to run away. And Lord Vishnu, he simply kicked him. And Vishnu was saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, how is your foot?" And he wanted to give, a Brigu a foot massage. So Brigu was very impressed. But, Goddess of Fortune was there, and she saw, that this great Brahmana, who was the head of all the Brahmanas, was doing that. So she just cursed the Brahmanas. Or she just said, from now on, you will not get the favor of the Goddess of Fortune. You will not get my favor. So since that time, all Brahmanas are usually poor. Yeah, so so everything is explained with something that happened back in the day, like that. Yeah, it's very fun, Yeah, and then you have Pulastya. He's one of the Prajapatis. One of the mind-born sons of Brahma. Sometimes he's also one of the Saptarishis. He's also active in the Ramayana. Yeah, so as everybody else, he's doing a lot of austerities, and he's getting into some kind of episode, but it's just too complicated to explain here. Kashyapa, I already mentioned, he's the main Prajapati really, because he's fathering. I mean, he's fathering basically all the demons and demigods at the beginning of creation. Atri, now Atri is a special person. He did the tapasya, and he wanted to have a son who was like God. But you actually have three, you can say, main gods, and that's Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. He didn't specify which he wanted, so his wife Anasuya, she got all three of them. Yeah. So one of them was incarnation of Vishnu, or actually expansion of Vishnu, and that was Dattatreya, very famous sage. And then another one was expansion of Brahma. I think that was Soma. Can that be right? Yeah. And then the third one was expansion of Shiva, and that was Durvasa. You have heard about Durvasa Muni, right?
Yes, definitely.
Short temper and pretty much of a troublemaker. wherever he goes.
Was it he who got the chakra after him?
Yeah, exactly. Because he felt offended by he felt offended by Ambarish, because Ambarish had broken.
Who drank water to break the fast when he was
It's just like a small thing, he completely, So Markandeya Rishi is the next one, right? Yeah. So he's famous for being the one who lives longer than anybody else. So he has a whole Purana named after him, Markandeya Purana. Yeah. So the famous story about him is that actually it was his father. He did a lot of tapasya, and she was going to bless him, and actually his son, Markandeya, was Amerikanda, the father. His son was supposed to die when he was 16 years old already, but then he somehow or other, by all the austerities he did, then he was actually getting almost eternal life, because he had so much devotion to Shiva. So Shiva just arranged for him, so that he would just remain 16 years old forever. He didn't die, but he just remained at 16 years old, and he basically lived for at least one day of Brahma is longer than the Manvantara. That's a long time. A day of Brahma is 1,000 yuga cycles. So the famous story which Vaishnavas are telling about him is that at the end of a day of Brahma there is a big inundation. There is nothing left. There is just water all over the universe, right? And then he's seeing, actually, on a small island, he sees a banyan tree, banyan leaf, a great banyan leaf, and on that leaf is lying a small baby, suckling his own big toe. And so he goes to this baby, and actually this baby is, of course, baby Krishna. And the baby opens his mouth, and then he goes into the mouth of the baby, and again he's inside, the universe with water. And then he wonders what happened. Okay, this must be God. And then again the baby is spitting him out. Yeah. So he's definitely one of the longest lived sages. And Brihaspati, he's the one who's actually called Guru. He has his own day called Guruvara. It's a Thursday. Yeah. He's Jupiter. Yeah. So a revolution of Jupiter takes 12 years. So for 12 years, if you study anything under the Guru for 12 years, you get perfect in whatever you study. That's like the blessing. Okay, so let's see the next one. Dvita and Trita and Ekata. Okay, so these are three brothers. And there also is some kind of story about them, which is very complicated also. So I can't really tell. And then you have the four Kumara sons. You heard about the four Kumaras, right?
Yes.
So Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumara. Usually, when the four Kumaras are quoted saying anything, it's usually just Sanat Kumara. He's like the eldest. He's the spokesperson of the three others usually. So they are very active in the scriptures. They have a lot of teachings here and there. Actually, Brahma, he wanted them to be Prajapatis. You have the story in Bhagavatam. And they said, no, we just want to be eternal brahmachari. We don't want to grow old even. They just remained as what do you call that? When you don't get before puberty, what do you call that?
Infants.
Infants, yeah. So they just remained as infants. And each of them are representing perfection in one of the jnanas. So one is expert in what do you call this? What do you call this thing when you have Sankhya? I don't remember which has it. One is expert in, one is a guru of Sankhya, one is a guru of yoga teachings, one is a guru of logic, and another one is the guru of, I don't remember. but they're all guru of Karma Kanda. So they're all representing jnana. They're the Jnani Shakti Avatars. Yeah. So all knowledge they are experts in, and especially in these four types for each of them. And then Angira, he's another great rishi. I think he has an Upanishad. Yeah, he actually has more than that. He's actually he has one whole. Isn't that the one who has a whole Veda? Yeah, I think so. Atharva. Yeah, he has the Atharva Veda. Yeah. So he's a very important sage. He has the whole Atharva Veda actually, and he's the father of the whole clan of Angirasas, or whatever. Yeah. He has like a whole family of sages after him, as far as I remember, Brahmanas. And then you have Agastya Muni. He is very famous. I'll tell a few stories of him. So you have these two demon Rakshasas, Ilvala and what's it? There were two Rakshasas who had a sport. Vatapi, yeah. Vatapi and Ilvala and Vatapi, yeah. So these are two Rakshasa brothers, and then they had the sport that they were some or other angry on Brahmins. So they invited. So first you had they had the Mrityu Sanjivani mantra, so they could call anybody back to life. So therefore they did a very grotesque sport. So I don't know if I should say a trigger warning again. Okay, trigger warning. So you see, so what Ilvala did, he turned his brother Vatapi into a goat or a lamb or something like that, and he chopped into pieces, and he cooked the meat, and then he invited the Brahmin for dinner. So apparently at that time meat eating was kind of in vogue for the Brahmanas. So after the Brahmin had completed eating, then Ilvala, he would just call out his brother's name. He would say, Vatapi, come, please come, Vatapi. And then Vatapi would just emerge from within the Brahmin's stomach, and in that way he would murder the Brahmin. Because all the pieces cut up and even digested, because he hadn't been fully digested, he just had swallowed it, right? So because the Mrityu Sanjivani mantra works like that, you just have to call the name of the person and he will assemble together again.
Yeah. So they do this for sporting?
Yeah, so in that way they killed a lot of Brahmanas. However, they didn't know which Brahmana they invited when they invited Agastya. You see, Agastya Muni is famous for having a great digestion as nobody else. Because what Agastya did one time, there was one time that the demons had hidden into the ocean, okay, and in the night, so nobody could find them. And in the night they would go up and visit Brahmanas' homes and of course kill them. So the Brahmanas were asking, please, can anybody help us get rid of these demons? And then they asked Agastya, actually they found out that they're down in the ocean, but very deep, so nobody could get them. So Agastya, can you help us? Yeah, I can just drink the whole ocean. So he drank the whole ocean, and then of course in the dry ocean they were seeing them there, and then the demigods just came and killed them. Yeah. So end of story. Then Brahmanas were saved and everybody was happy. And then they asked Agastya, maybe you can return the water, because we need ocean water. And Agastya said, sorry, I just digested it. And there is another story, another funny, side story, which may be true or not, but they said, actually later on, Agastya, because they were pleading him, please, and he said, okay, and he gave back the water. You know how he gave back the water? By urinating it.
I was going to guess it, but
and since, yeah, and since that, the water has been salty, so it's a salt water.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's kind of very humorous, this Agastya. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't finish the story. Yeah. So when Agastya, he was invited for dinner, as everybody else, he was eating, without knowing it, he was eating Vatapi, who had turned into a goat. And then, as usual, Ilva was calling, Vatapi, come, Vatapi. And then nothing happened. And he asked, something wrong here. And then, Agastya said, you see, I'm not like the other Brahmins you killed. I already digested him. And then, the Asura, the Rakshasa, was then very terrified, He said, how can I serve you, Okay, so Agastya said, please give me 10,000 cows and a little bit of gold. And give me a golden chariot, with 2 horses. And we call it a deal. Yeah. So, okay, so then which is the next one? Yajnavalkya. Yeah, so Yajnavalkya, he is a great sage, as all of these are. He was a bit into law and order, he has his own smriti. Usually, sometimes smritis are the law and order books, like you have, Manu Smriti. You heard about that one? Book, the laws of Manu?
No.
Sorry. It's basically said, whatever is the law, just like every country has a law book, right? If you steal, you get this kind of punishment, and there's all kinds of exceptions or whatever, according to time, place, and circumstances. So there's so many details. So Manu Samhita is like the most famous, but you have others, and one of them is the Yajnavalkya Smriti. And of course, most of these laws which are in that book are obsolete. So, for example, it said you shouldn't urinate while facing the sun. There are a few very peculiar laws, So anyway, and then you have Vamadeva. Vamadeva, as far as I remember, he was definitely a devotee of Shiva. But what more was the thing about him? Let's see. Yeah, he's also appearing in the Rig Veda, and yeah, he's appearing in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. He's the son of Gautama, maybe. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so he's one of the great sages. I don't. There are some kind of he's an incarnation of Shiva. Yeah. Now I see. Yeah. He's an incarnation of Shiva. Okay, so next one. Did we cover all of them now? Yes. Oh, sorry, this took a little bit of time, but it was fun, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. I think I'll just fast forward a little bit. Yeah. So when Krishna was there, when Krishna began to speak, all became silent, being eager to hear and understand his welcoming words to the sages. So there was a whole lot of sages there, and Lord Krishna spoke thus: "All glories to the assembled sages and ascetics. Today we all feel that our lives have become successful. Today we have achieved the desired goal of life because we see now face to face all the exalted, liberated sages and ascetics whom even the great demigods in the heavens desire to see." As I explained, all these sages was there, and they are pretty special, right? Persons who are neophytes in devotional service and who simply offer their respectful obeisances to the deity in the temple, but who cannot realize that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and those who simply worship different demigods for fulfillment of their own lusty desires, are unable to understand the importance of these sages. They cannot take advantage of receiving these sages by seeing them with their eyes, by touching their lotus feet, by inquiring about their welfare, or by diligently worshipping them. So then Prabhupada writes that neophyte devotees or religionists cannot understand the importance of great Mahatmas. They go to the temple as a matter of formality and pay their respectful obeisances unto the deity, but when one is promoted to the next platform of transcendental consciousness, one can understand the importance of Mahatmas and devotees, and in that stage one tries to please them. So you have like the first stage, they're called the Kanishtas. They just see the deity and they don't mind the other people there. They think that everybody is basically have a lot of faults and they're not worthy of being paid in respect. But the deity they worship like anything. But the second level, they actually see the importance of the devotees or great rishis and munis and spiritually advanced people, and they start actually wanting to have teachings from them, and they try to support them and like that. Yeah. So Lord Krishna said that the neophyte cannot understand the importance of great sages, devotees, or ascetics. So he continued saying, one cannot purify himself merely by traveling to holy places or of pilgrimage, by taking a bath there, or by seeing the demigods' forms in the temples. But if one happens to meet a great devotee, a Mahatma, who is a representative of the personality of Godhead, one is immediately purified.
Yeah.
And then he gives, some ways to become purified. He says to become purified, one is enjoined to worship the fire, worship the sun, worship the moon, the earth, the water, the air, the sky, and the mind. By worshipping all the elements and their predominating deities, one can gradually become free from the influence of envy. But all the sins of an envious person can be nullified immediately simply by serving a great soul. So a great soul is called Mahatma. Yeah. So my dear revered say yes?
No, it's a devotee, right?
Yeah. But actually, sometimes even in the scriptures, the great Mahatma is maybe not, actual Krishna Bhakta. He can be, a Shiva Bhakta. As I mentioned, Markandeya Rishi is there, and he's known to be a devotee of Lord Shiva, actually. But of course, he also is meeting Krishna, so he's good. He's not exclusively, only Shiva, but he is actually mainly a Shiva devotee. Anyway, so my dear revered sages and respectable kings, you can take it from me that the person who accepts this material body made of 3 elements, mucus, bile, and air, as his own self, who considers his family and relatives his own, who accepts material things as worshipable, or who visits holy places of pilgrimage just to take a bath there, but never associates with great personalities, the sages and Mahatmas. Such a person, even though in the form of a human being, is nothing but an animal, like an ass. So this is one of the famous shlokas or verses.
Yeah.
He said, Saeva Gokaraha. He is like an ass. If he it's not really minding, the people who are there, just go there to take a bath and just go again. This is quite, animalistic. Okay, so when the Supreme Authority Lord Krishna was thus speaking with great gravity, all the sages and ascetics, they remained in dead silence. They were amazed upon hearing him speak the absolute philosophy of life in such a concise way. Unless one is very much advanced in knowledge, one thinks his body to be his self, his family members to be his own, and the land of his birth to be worshipable. Isn't that very true? From this concept of life, the modern ideology of nationalism has sprung up. Lord Krishna condemned such ideas, and he also condemned persons who take the trouble to go to holy places of pilgrimage just to take a bath and come back without taking the opportunity to associate with the great devotees and Mahatmas living there. So in the same way, one can go to the Sunday feast in the temple just to take prasadam, right? And not exchange a word with any of the devotees there and just pack up and go. Well, it would be better to actually try and have some association, because devotees are a rare breed, especially today. Okay, so such persons are compared to the most foolish animal, the ass. All those who heard considered the speech of Lord Krishna for some time, and they concluded that Lord Krishna was actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing the role of an ordinary human being, who was forced to take a certain type of body as a result of the reactions of his past deeds. Let's see, I'll just go a little bit down, because I actually was seeing now that we have a lot left to read. So, dear Lord, now they were talking to him. They said, "Dear Lord, the leaders of human society, are supposed to possess the proper philosophy of life. Yet we are bewildered by the spell of your external energy." I just want to pause a little bit on this one. They actually acknowledge that they are the leaders of human society. So where there are different kind of leaders back in the day. So these are all the sages, right? They're not, big leaders of countries, or NATO members, or FN leaders or whatever, right? They're actually sages. Some of them can even fly from one place to another. Narad Muni is known as, a flyer, right? They came to that place by the airways, but not by airplane. So they were actually leaders of society. It's not way long back. This is just 6,000 years ago. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So these are not kings, actually. Those who are speaking here, they're not the kings. They are actually, the sages. Yeah. What?
I'll be right back in just a moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Dear Lord, we, the leaders of human society, are supposed to possess that proper philosophy of life, yet we are bewildered by the spell of your external energy. We are surprised to see your behavior, which is just like that of an ordinary human being, and which conceals your real identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We therefore consider your pastimes to be all wonderful. Our dear Lord, by your own energy you create, maintain and annihilate the whole cosmic manifestation of different names and forms, in the same way that the earth creates many forms of stone, trees and other varieties of names and forms, and yet remains the same. Although you create varieties of manifestations through your energy, you are unaffected by all those actions. Our dear Lord, we are simply stunned to see your wonderful acts. Although you are transcendental to this entire material creation and are the Supreme Lord and the super soul of all living entities, you appear on this earth by your own internal potency to protect your devotees and destroy the miscreants. By such an appearance you re-establish the principles of eternal religion, which human society forgets by long association with material energy. Our dear Lord, you are the creator of the social orders and spiritual statuses of human society according to quality and work. And when these orders are misguided by unscrupulous persons, you appear and set them right. Are you back? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back here. Very good. You want to read a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. Just give me a moment.
Dear Lord.
Lord Krishna is speaking, right?
Yeah. No, the sages are speaking.
After Krishna was speaking? Yes, our dear Lord, by your own energy?
No, again, it's longer down.
Even lower? Okay, dear Lord, the Vedic knowledge?
Yeah.
Dear Lord, the Vedic knowledge is the representation of your pure heart. Austerity, study of the Vedas, and meditative trances lead to different realizations of yourself in your manifested and unmanifested aspects. The entire phenomenal world is a manifestation of your impersonal energy. But you yourself, as the original personality of Godhead, are not manifested there. You are the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Brahman. Persons who are situated in Brahminical culture, therefore, can understand the truth about your transcendental form. Thus you always hold the Brahmanas in respect, and you are considered to be the topmost of all followers of Brahminical culture. You are therefore known as Brahmanya Deva. Our dear Lord, you are the last word in good fortune and the last resort of all saintly persons. Therefore we all consider that we have achieved the perfection of our life. Education, austerity, and acquisition of transcendental knowledge by meeting you. Actually, you are the ultimate goal of all transcendental achievements.
Very good. Okay, continue.
Yeah, our dear Lord, there is no end to your unlimited knowledge. Your form is transcendental, eternally existing in full bliss and knowledge. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Soul. Being covered by the spell of your internal potency, Yogamaya, you are now temporarily concealing your unlimited potencies, and we can understand your exalted position, and therefore all of us offer you our respectful obeisances. Dear Lord, you are enjoying your pastimes in the role of a human being, concealing your real character of transcendental opulence. Therefore none of the kings present here, even the members of the Yadu dynasty, who constantly mingle with you, eat with you, and sit with you, can understand that you are the original source of all causes, the soul of everyone, the original cause of all creation.
Yeah. Any comments or questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, just continue.
When a person dreams at night, hallucinatory figures created by the dream are accepted as real, and the imaginary dream body is accepted as one's real body. For the time being, one forgets that besides the body created in hallucination, there is another real body in his awakened state. Similarly, in the awakened state also, the bewildered conditioned soul considers sense enjoyment to be real happiness. By the process of enjoying the senses of the material body, the spirit soul is covered, and his consciousness becomes materially contaminated. This is due to material consciousness that one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. All great mystic yogis endeavor to revive their Krishna consciousness by mature practice of the yoga system just to understand your lotus feet. They meditate upon your transcendental form to counteract their accumulated sinful reactions. It is said that the water of the Ganges can vanquish volumes of a person's sinful reactions, but the Ganges water is glorious only due to your lotus feet. The Ganges water flows as perspiration from the lotus feet of your Lordship, and we are all all so fortunate that today we have been able to see your Lord speak directly. Dear Lord, we are all surrendered souls, devotees of your Lordship. Therefore, please be kind and bestow your causeless mercy upon us. We know well that persons who have become liberated by constant engagement in your devotional service are no longer contaminated by the material modes of nature. Thus they have become eligible to be promoted to the kingdom of God in the spiritual world.
Very good.
After first, okay.
Just get some air to breathe. You can read on.
After first offering prayers to Lord Krishna, the assembled sages wanted to take permission from King Dhritarashtra and King Yudhishthira, and then to depart for their respective ashrams. At that time, however, Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna and the most celebrated of all pious men, approached the sages and with great humility offered his respects by falling down at their feet. Vasudeva said, "My dear great sages, you are the most respected you are more respected than the demigods. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I wish for you to accept my one request, if so you desire. I shall consider it a great blessing if you kindly explain the supreme fruitive activity by which one can counteract the reactions of all other activities."
Okay, full stop. Isn't that a little funny that, he asking about fruitive activity, and he is the father of Krishna?
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is that, they're covered by Yoga Maya. All of, Krishna's associates. So in that way, they don't know that they have God right there, So they're asking, how can we get to heaven? And it seems like they're even mundane, They do worship of the demigods like anything, actually, in Vrindavan, in the Krishna Lila. They're worshipping the sun god, they're worshipping, the mother god. It looks like they're materialistic, but actually they're, of course, not. Yeah, so just, you can read on.
Yep, just a moment. The great sage Narada was the leader of all the sages present. Therefore he began to speak. "My dear sages," he said, "it is not very difficult to understand that because of his great goodness and simplicity, Vasudeva has become the father of the personality of Godhead by accepting Krishna as his son. He is inclined to ask us about his welfare. It is said that familiarity breeds contempt. As such, Vasudeva, having Krishna as his son, does not regard Krishna with awe and veneration. Sometimes it is seen that persons living on the bank of the Ganges do not consider the Ganges very important, and they go far to take their baths at a place of pilgrimage."
That's very well said. Very well said, yeah? It's something you have very close to you. You think, this is just not good enough. But it's true, actually, it is good enough. Yeah, continue.
Yeah. There is no need for Vasudeva to ask us for instructions when Lord Krishna is personally present, because his knowledge is never second in any circumstance. His knowledge is not affected by the process of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, nor is it ever influenced by any agency beyond himself, nor is it agitated by the interactions of the material qualities or changed in the course of time. His transcendental form is full of knowledge, which never becomes agitated by ignorance, pride, attachment, envy, or sense enjoyment. His knowledge is never subject to the laws of karma regarding pious or impious qualities, nor is it influenced by the three modes of material energy. No one is greater than or equal to him, because he is the supreme authority, the personality of Godhead.
Exactly. Yeah, okay, so actually I just fast forward a little bit, otherwise we'll not be finished in time. So I then go to the sages present, then began to address Vasudeva in the presence of Lord Krishna, Balarama and many other kings, and as requested by him, they gave their instructions. And then they gave a whole lot of instructions. I'll just go to the second part of their instructions. They say, all conditioned souls within this material world have deep-rooted desires to lord it over the resources of material nature. Everyone wants to accumulate riches, everyone wants to enjoy life to the greatest extent, everyone wants a wife, home and children, and everyone wants to become happy in this world and be elevated to the heavenly planets in the next life. Right? But these desires are the causes of one's material bondage. Therefore, to get liberation from this bondage, one has to sacrifice his honestly earned riches for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. The only process to counteract all sorts of material desires is to engage oneself in the devotional service of Lord Vishnu. In this way, a self-controlled person, even while remaining in household life, should give up the three kinds of material desires, namely the desire for acquisition of material opulence, for the enjoyment of wife and children, and for elevation to higher planets. Eventually, he should give up householder life and accept the renounced order, engaging himself completely in the devotional service of the Lord. Everyone, even if born in a higher status as a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya, is certainly indebted to the demigods, to the sages, to the forefathers, and to all the living entities. In order to liquidate all these debts, one has to perform sacrifices, study the Vedic literature, and generate children in religious householder life. Yeah, so just a little bit about that. You have here, sometimes it said that you have 5 pancharina, you have 5 debts. Here's only 3. So in this case, it said, you're indebted to devatas, to the rishis, and to the forefathers. Actually, it's 4. Yeah. So to pay the debt to the demigods, you have to do the sacrifices, like that. And then to the sages, then you have to study the Vedic literature. And to pay our debts to the forefathers, one has to actually get children. Like that. But actually, if you become a devotee of Krishna, it said, the version, it says, Rini, Maya Marini, yeah.
It does not have any such
Yeah.
obligation.
Yeah. Gato Mukundam, Paririta Kartam. By going to Mukunda, then one doesn't have any more, debts. All these things have been done already. All these sacrifices, study of Vedic literature, all these things, is not needed to be done if one becomes a devotee of Krishna. Yeah. So let's see. Gato Mukundam Paririta Kartam. Yeah. Okay, so where were we? Anyway, we just scroll down. Yeah. Okay, let's see the last thing they say to Vasudeva. They say, "My dear Vasudeva, certainly you have already performed many pious activities in your previous lives. Otherwise, how could you be the father of Krishna Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead?" And now, just listen, what Vasudeva is actually doing then. Saintly Vasudeva, after hurrying all the sages, offered his respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet. In this way he pleased the sages, and then he requested them to perform the yagyas. So you have the best sages in the whole universe to do any kind of sacrifice. They're sitting right there. So when the sages were selected as priests of the sacrifices, they in turn induced Vasudeva to collect the required paraphernalia for executing the yagyas in that place of pilgrimage. So that's the part of doing a sacrifice, is you need to have all the special ingredients. Of course you need ghee, you need a lot of ghee, because the fire is supposed to be burned by ghee, klarnet smør, yeah. And then you need also, I'm just saying a few. Of course you need a lot of wood, proper wood who can dry, who can burn, because sacrifice is made by, putting fire to wood. And then you need also some small ingredients here and there, like sesame seeds. You need kusha grass. You heard about that? It's mentioned sometimes. So this kusha grass is like it's always used in these rituals. So somehow or other you need to have, any Brahmana who is doing sacrifice, he has a little bunch of kusha grass ready. Yeah, and many other things, they actually need a lot of gold, because they were using different instruments to administer, the sacrifice. For example, you have like a spoon for taking the ghee up in the fire. You have, a pot of ghee, and then you take the fire with a spoon and put it in the. You take the ghee and put it in the fire with the spoon, yeah? And then you say, swaha, like that. So stuff like that. So Vasudeva was asked to arrange for all this. When Vasudeva was thus persuaded to start to perform the yagyas, all the members of the other dynasty took their baths, dressed themselves very nicely, decorated themselves beautifully, and garlanded themselves with lotus flowers. So did you see that? Garlanded themselves. So they put garlands on themselves. Like, I never saw actually in my whole life anybody put garland on themselves. Unless it is a Mahaprasadam garland that somebody else had on them before. But it's actually said in the scriptures that to have a yaga you should be very clean, and you should have clean clothes, and it's also auspicious to actually have a garland around your neck when you do the yaga. Yeah, that's even said for taking prasadam actually. You can be garlanded. Okay, so anyway, Vasudeva's wives, dressed with nice garments and ornaments and golden necklaces, approached the arena of sacrifice, carrying in their hands the required articles to offer in the sacrifice. So this is a detail which is also important, that usually, the man who is in the sacrifice, the grihasta, who is in charge of sacrifice, he should have his wife with him, because that's considered auspicious. She should sit by his side. And he, of course, he had more wives. He had a lot of wives, so all of them were sitting by his side. And they helped out, with carrying the articles for the sacrifice. So now it said, that when everything was complete, when, the sacrifice was done, there was heard the vibration of mridangas. This drum that we have in the temple? It was also there 6,000 years ago. And it was even 10,000 years ago, even a million years. It has always been on earth, because it comes from the heavenly planets. It's said that Indra, he's arranging, for these nice kirtans in the heavenly planets with mridanga and kartals. Yeah. And I remember from one source, I don't remember where, but it's Indra, he's good at playing kartals. Yeah. Anyway. And back in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, guess what drum they have there? It's mridanga. Yes. And the gopis are playing mridanga. Have you seen the picture? Yes. Krishna is sitting in the boat, and then the gopis are around, and they have, a kirtan.
I've definitely seen the gopis with the mridanga.
Yeah. And in the mridanga, you can also, in the kirtan, you can also have a conch shell, sometimes blowing. I've been on a few kirtans where like very big kirtans, where one of the devotees was carrying conch shell, and on occasions he was blowing the conch shell.
Makes a tumultuous sound.
Yeah, but of course not all the time, but every now and then when it was appropriate. And then kettle drums, that's another type of drum, which I think they are playing with sticks. Yeah, and then other musical instruments. And then you have professional dancers, of course, both male and female. They began to dance. The Sutas and Magadas. So these are, the professional singers, and as far as I think Magadas, they are composing, verses and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, they keep track on all the, histories of the king, which fights he was fighting, and they make songs out of that, Like the king, they glorify the king like anything. And of course they also glorify Krishna when they are there. And then the Gandharvas and their wives, whose voices were very sweet, began to sing many auspicious songs. Vasudeva anointed his eyes with black cosmetic, smeared butter over his body, and then, along with his 18 wives, headed by Devaki, sat before the priests to be purified with the Abhishek ceremony. Did you read that? He anointed his eyes with black cosmetic. So there is a part of a sacrifice where you actually have this thing for making cosmetic on the eyes. Is part of some sacrifice. And then the butter, of course, is ghee. It's not ordinary butter in the shop. It's this purified butter. It said actually it's good for the body. Yeah. So now Abhishek ceremony, it means the bathing ceremony. While the ceremony was being observed strictly according to the principles of the scriptures, Vasudeva resembled the moon encircled by stars. Because he was being initiated for the sacrifice, he was dressed in a deer skin, but all his wives were dressed with very nice saris, bangles, necklaces, ankle bells, earrings, and many other ornaments. Vasudeva looked very beautiful, surrounded by his wives, exactly like the King of Heaven when he performs such sacrifices. And so now I will just give a detail about how it was back then. I'm not saying it's supposed to be like this now, but actually it's said like in the Vedic Codex from the days back. Then the wife should be dressing very nicely when the husband was there. She should look, with nice ornaments and all. When the husband was out traveling, she should be low-key in her appearance, not very much decorated. That was like the style. Yeah. At that time, when Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, along with their wives, children, and relatives, sat down in that great sacrificial arena, it appeared that the Supreme Personality of God was present along with all the living entities and multi-energies that are part of him. We have heard from the Shastras that Lord Krishna had multi-energies and parts and partials, but now in that sacrificial arena, all could actually experience how the Supreme Personality of God eternally exists with his different energies. So it said in some descriptions that he's surrounded by personified, time, personified happiness, personified beauty, and all the personified Vedas are also there. You have Rig Veda personified, Sama Veda personified, Atharva Veda personified, Yajur Veda personified. The list goes on and on and on. All the energies are persons, in Krishna's association. Yeah. At that time, Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Narayan, and Lord Balaram appeared as Sankarshan, the reservoir of all living entities. So what that means is that they now had 4 hands, like Vishnu forms. Yeah. Vasudeva satisfied Lord Vishnu by performing different kinds of sacrifices, such as Yotishtoma and Darsha Purnamasa. Some of these yagyas are called Prakrita, and some of them are known as Shaurya, Satra, and Vaikrita. Cannot help you with those terms. Thereafter, the other sacrifices known as Agnihotra were also performed, and the prescribed articles were offered in the proper way. Thus Lord Vishnu was pleased. The ultimate purpose of offering oblations in sacrifice is to please Lord Vishnu. But in this age of Kali, it is very difficult to collect the different articles required for offering sacrifices. People have neither the means to collect the required paraphernalia, nor the necessary knowledge or tendency to offer such sacrifices. Therefore, in this age of Kali, when people are mostly unfortunate, full of anxieties and disturbed by various kinds of calamities, the only sacrifice recommended is the performance of Sankirtan Yagya. So if you read in between the lines here, or I can help us read in between the lines, what this means is that if you do all these sacrifices, I mean just prescribed sacrifices to Vishnu and the demigods like that, guess what? You will be happy. And you will not be depressed and have all these troubles that normal people have, you can say. It's actually supposed to make your whole life auspicious from top to toe. But in the absence of that, the devatars are not so inclined to give us auspicious things, because there is no reciprocation. So they don't give us good wealth, good health, good skills. We just get a little bit maybe. But if we do all these things, then they would be properly giving us fortune in this life. So all this can be solved by just doing Sankirtan Yagya. So that's also a yagya or a sacrifice, and that's simply chanting the whole names of Krishna, as in the Mahamantra: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada says, worshipping Lord Chaitanya by the Sankirtan Yagya is the only recommended process in this age. So Lord Chaitanya himself, he pulled out this verse from the Brihadaranyaka Purana, and that's saying, Kala nasteva gatiranyata. It says, Hare Nama eva kevalam. Yeah. Kala nasteva. Yeah. So like that, there is no other way than Harinama. And again, Harinama is also repeated 3 times. It said that when something is repeated 3 times, it means it's extremely important. So yeah. After the performance of the different sacrifices, Vasudeva offered ample riches, clothing, ornaments, cows, land, and maidservants to the priests. So you can understand, a priest who did, a Brahmana who did this, he got a lot of riches. He got very nicely paid. He got a lot of clothes. He got, ornaments, gold. Have you seen in India still? If you see some Brahmanas in India, for example, I was in Dwarka for a month. Last time I was in India, and the Brahmanas have golden earrings, and they have golden necklaces. They look actually, quite rich. Yeah, like that. So they're doing their job nicely, and they're rewarded nicely. It just goes together. So they are not, the poor Brahmanas, Because it says there is a different kind of Brahmana. The Brahmana who is actually devotee of Krishna, they are very nicely taken care of. They can also be rich. The goddess of fortune makes an exception for them. she is supporting them. Yeah. So thereafter, all the wives of Vasudeva took their avabrita baths and performed the part of the sacrificial duties known as Patni Samyagya. So yeah, so avabrita bath is avabrita snana is the bath which you take after you've done a sacrifice. So all the wives did, and Vasudeva also, of course, he also did. And they are also doing their thing. Patni means wife, so they are doing wifely duties. Don't ask me the specifics, but they're also doing something that the husband is not doing. So after finishing the offering with all the required paraphernalia, they all took their baths together in the lakes constructed by Parshuram, which are known as the Rama Radha. So if you read earlier in the previous chapter, it was said that Parshuram, he filled these lakes with the blood of the killed Kshatriyas, remember? But I'm pretty sure they were not bathing in blood, because this was thousands and thousands of years ago. I think there must be some kind of story that the blood, is not there anymore. It was exchanged with holy water, right? Yeah.
Something like that.
After Vasudeva and his wives took their baths, all the garments and ornaments they had worn were distributed to the subordinate persons engaged in singing, dancing, and similar activities. So, just for information, in the Vedic culture, nobody is bathing naked. They were wearing clothes while bathing. Okay, so and then they changed their clothes after bathing, of course, because the clothes were completely wet, right? But then the garments and ornaments that had been wearing, and that includes golden ornaments and whatnot, they just distribute that to the subordinate persons. That means the bards, the singers, the dancers, the people who were cooking, the people who were there, supporting the activity in some way or other. They got all these paraphernalia. Yeah, so that was actually their payment. I think they also got payment in another way on top of that. We may note that the performance of sacrifice necessitates the profuse distribution of riches. Charity is offered to the priests and the brahmanas in the beginning, and used garments and ornaments are offered in charity to subordinate assistants after the performance of the sacrifice. So it's very wealthy and opulent thing. Yeah. So now even more. After offering the used articles to the singers and the reciters, Vasudeva and his wives, dressed with new ornaments and garments, fed everyone very sumptuously, from the brahmanas down to the dogs. After this, all the friends, family members, wives, and children of Vasudeva assembled together, along with all the kings and members of Vidarbha, Koshala, Kuru, Kashi, Kekaya, and Srinjaya dynasties. So these were all, surrounding dynasties around, Dwarka and like that. The priests, the demigods, the people in general, the forefathers, the ghosts, and the charanas were all sufficiently remunerated by being offered ample gifts and respectful honor. Even the ghosts. There are actually, Manudama is back in the chat. Namaste. Yeah, so you may ask, how did you feed the dog? The ghosts, you cannot see them. But it's actually said you can just put some food aside at some, dirty place, because that's where they go to eat. Yeah. And then you have, then all the persons assembled there took permission from Lord Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and while glorifying the perfection of the sacrifice made by Vasudeva, they departed to their respective homes. So that was a pretty good sacrifice, right?
Yeah, I think the feeling when I heard this in the audiobook, the feeling from this sacrifice was like very, very austere, auspicious.
Auspicious, yeah.
Yeah.
You're listening to the audiobook by Maharaj, I forgot the name, which is like a dramatically read. You're listening to that? Huh?
Yeah,
yeah, it's wonderful, no?
Yeah, it's really amazing.
I very much enjoy that.
It was such an amazing feeling, this sacrifice in particular, because it's like almost entirely at the end of the Bhagavatam. at least on the canto, and it's like the feeling like the really, I don't know, it's a very sacred feeling you have.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just writing, Manudama was asking which canto, and I said it's the 10th canto, but we're actually reading the summary, which is in the Krishnabook. Yeah. Yes.
Not very much difference, but it's a little bit shorter.
Yeah, it's a little condensed, yeah. Yeah. So I just fast forward a little bit. After performing this sacrifice, Vasudeva felt so satisfied that there was no limit to his happiness. He was just brimming from ear to ear.
Yeah.
All the members of his family were with him, and in their presence he caught hold of the hands of Nanda Maharaj and addressed him thus. So now I'll try and sound very much like Vasudeva, very happy. My dear brother, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has created a great tie of bondage, known as the bondage of love and affection. I think that it is very difficult job for even the great sages and saintly persons to cut such a tie of love. My dear brother, you have exhibited feelings of love for me that I was not able to return. I think therefore that I am ungrateful. You have behaved exactly as it is characteristic of saintly persons, but I shall never be able to repay you. I have no means to repay you for your friendly dealings. Nevertheless, I am confident that our tie of love will never break. Our friendship must ever continue in spite of my inability to repay you. I hope you will excuse me for this inability. And then he's recalling, their adventures together before. He says, my dear brother, in the beginning, due to my being imprisoned, I could never serve you as a friend, and although at the present moment I am very opulent, because of my material prosperity I have become blind. I therefore cannot satisfy you properly even at this time. My dear brother, you are so nice and gentle that you offer all respect to others, but don't care for any respect for yourself. A person seeking auspicious progress in life must avoid possessing too much material opulence, so that he will not become blind and puffed up, and he should take care of his friends and relatives. Okay, I just stopped there to have a chat with Manudama. So I hope, Manudama, I can just answer you by voice. He is asking, Sir, what's your thoughts about Karna, as he is seen as a great character in the story who didn't abandon Duryodhana due to his debt on him, as accepted death rather than betrayal? What's my opinion? Okay, so my opinion is that Karna, he's a good man because he's the son of the sun god of Suryadev. He's actually showing some bhakti also in some of the episodes where he's talking with Krishna. He's actually glorifying Krishna, Wow. So since I also had my kind of conception of Karna, but after I read that account in the Mahabharata itself, where he's glorifying Krishna, actually, he has a good exchange with Krishna right there, and Krishna actually likes him also. But he knows, that he has his destiny is that he is somewhere or other he is supposed to join Duryodhana, and but that's due to his Kshatriya valor. He has a Kshatriya is very dutiful. Once he has made a promise to somebody, he cannot break that promise. So very early in the story, Karna, he was kind of a nobody because he was the son of a Suta, who was just a chariot driver, because nobody knew that he was actually the son of the Surya, because Mother Kunti had put him out in a basket as a baby. He was just picked up, by his foster mother and father, who were Sutas. So when there was a big exhibition of Kshatriya valor, which was arranged by Duryodhana, then first Arjuna came and flexed his muscles, and he did so much trick shooting, and he's standing on his head, fly in the air, and all kinds of things. And then Karna was also there. He just went out and he just wanted to show that he could do the same. And nobody knew who is this Sauta coming. He's not a Kshatriya, what is he doing? And then before he could be stopped, Karna already started demonstrating his skills. And then they still said, okay, it's fantastic, but you're not a Kshatriya. But then Duryodhana came himself and he said, I will make you a Kshatriya. I'll give you a land. Because he said, when you have your own kingdom, then you're a Kshatriya. So he made him a Kshatriya at the spot, Duryodhana. So in that way, he was really, really nice to Karna, He gave Karna life, He really gave Karna life right there and then. So there was love, really, then between these two people, between Karna and Duryodhana. Karna was really, he just told Duryodhana, man, I'm willing to die for you, you saved, my honor. You made me, officially a Kshatriya. So he just, there and then, he just said, I'm your man, I'm going to work for you. So since then, they were best pals. But sometimes also Karna, he can understand, that this Duryodhana was not really a good character. But then he was like, anyway, I made it. I made, my vow. I need to keep it. I made my promise.
In the war of the Battle of Kurukṣetra, then probably this kind of disagreement comes to the surface.
Yeah. It does. They try sometimes to make Karna go over to the other side. Even they tell Karna, after it became public knowledge that Karna was actually the son of Kunti, and he was the brother of the Pandavas. Then they told Karna, Karna, you can just come back, just join us Pandavas. We will take care of you. There is no hard feelings. Still, Karna said, I'd like to do, I like you guys, but still, I made my promise. So in that way, he is actually showing very great heroism. Okay, so Manodharma is saying, yes, he is considered as the strongest at the Battle of Mahabharata. Obviously after Krishna, but my favorite character. Very good. Yeah, he is actually some kind of very special person who actually, he's actually quite popular. Yeah. So anyway, let's go on. Where did I stop? I lost...
I think you started on the new next paragraph.
Yeah. So when Vasudeva was speaking to Nanda Maharaj in this way, he was influenced by great feeling for the friendship of Nanda Maharaj and the beneficial activities executed by King Nanda on his behalf. Because they were also relating, their pastimes, that, Nanda Maharaj, he got, Vasudeva was coming out in the night with newborn Krishna, right? And he went all the way to Vrindavan, and he put it with Nanda Maharaj's wife. He put, the newborn baby. And since then, Vasudeva, he was always, chatting with Nanda Maharaj. He had, they had, a great bond, because it was both their son Krishna. They were like becoming the father of Krishna, both of them. Yeah. So they had a great friendship. As such, his eyes filled with tears, and he began to cry. Nanda Maharaj, desiring to please his friend Vasudeva and being affectionately bound with love for Lord Krishna and Balaram, passed 3 months in their association. At the end of this time, all the members of the other dynasty tried to please the inhabitants of Vrindavan to their heart's content. The members of the other dynasty tried to satisfy Nanda Maharaj and his associates by offering them clothing, ornaments, and many other valuable articles, and they all became fully satisfied. So they were rich, right? Very rich. Vasudeva, Ugrasena, Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, Uddhava, and all of the members of the other dynasty presented their individual gifts to Nanda Maharaj and his associates. After Nanda Maharaj received these farewell presentations, he, along with his associates, started for Vrajabhumi, Vrindavan. The minds of the inhabitants of Vrindavan remained, however, with Krishna and Balaram, and therefore all of them started for Vrindavan without their minds. You see? So they just went and they left there. So you saw this T-shirt. Actually, I saw this T-shirt not so long ago. It has a picture of Krishna on the front, and on the back it says, "I lost my heart in Vrindavan."
Yeah, I've seen people wear that.
Yeah, that was a very popular T-shirt. It became printed like 20 years ago now, and it sold thousands and thousands. I remember when it was new, everybody was walking around with that. But then somebody figured out that this was could maybe be coded as being a little bit puffed up, to say that I'm a great devotee. I left my heart in Vrindavan. I lost my heart in Vrindavan. Yeah. So then it fell out of fashion. So now I don't see anybody wearing it.
I saw what's his name, Margamani. He wears it every now and then.
Okay, but he can actually do that because he is very advanced. He actually is in Vrindavan. So there's good. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so now we're actually at the end paragraph. Yeah. Yeah, Manudama. Yeah, I agree. They're very rich. So you see, this is not prosperity religion, but actually, as a part of being a devotee, you will be extremely rich spiritually, at least. So when the members, yeah.
I think even Krishna says that one who chants his name, he owns all the 3 worlds or something like that.
Yeah, it's true. So I mean, I have read in the books. I'm just repeating what's in the books. Okay, it's not my opinion. it's said in the books that if you're poor, you're actually receiving, sinful reactions. Poverty is a sinful reaction. That means one has done something bad in the past, and one is punished by being poor. Yeah. So in that way, one is washing away, bad karma by being poor, and it's never lasting forever. It's just for one period. It's just like being in hell, basically. Okay, so when the members of the Vishnu family saw all their friends and visitors departing, they observed that the rainy season was approaching, and thus they decided to return to Dwarka. What does that mean? Did you understand that sentence?
When the members of the Vishnu family saw all their friends and visitors departing, they observed that the rainy season was approaching, and thus they decided to return to Dwarka. It almost seems like it was written here that they observed the rainy season coming because they also saw the Vishnu family.
It's a little funny sentence, but I get it now. You see, all these people of the Vishnu family is a different way to say Krishna's family. All the people they went all the way from Dwarka to this Kurukṣetra place to have the big sacrifice, right? And then they're having the sacrifice, and then they say goodbye to all the visitors and friends who came there, right?
Yeah.
And then they see, there's a big rain clouds, there. Let's head back to Dwarka before it starts raining, right? Something like that. So Manu Dharma, he agrees. He says, you're correct. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, he says that one who do good deeds will go to heaven, even if he praise me or not. Exactly. Good deeds in themselves are bringing one to heaven, actually. And if you praise Krishna, also you may go beyond heaven. So they were fully satisfied, for they regarded Krishna as everything. When they returned to Dwarka, they described with great satisfaction the sacrifice performed by Vasudeva, their meeting with various friends and well-wishers, and various other incidents that had occurred during their travels in the places of pilgrimage. So who are they? That's my question.
Oh, it's the members of the Vishnu family.
Okay.
The ones who returned to Dwarka, the Dwarkans, the Vishnu.
Yeah. So it means all Krishna's family members. That includes all his queens, right? His queens, like that, and yeah. So they all just chat about all the things they experienced, meeting nice people and like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 84th chapter of Krishna, sacrificial ceremonies performed by Vasudeva. Yeah, so this was kind of very, you can say, even a bit kind of intimate descriptions of the dealings of Krishna and the devotees, or the sages and things. So is there any questions or comments?
No, I think there's just a special feeling that is in the end of this Krishna book.
Yeah.
It's like when they're, I guess usually it's Krishna's leelas do not end because it's just they manifest differently. But
yeah,
this is like actually the conclusion of his pastimes on the planet. So.
Yeah, that's true. So
it feels like it's a fair goodbye, at least. So I think it's
yeah, that's true enough, because for many of these people that was maybe the last time they saw him. Yeah. Okay, so we'll continue next time. So stay tuned. And that's going to be tomorrow, yes. We're trying to have a streak now, every day, right? As far as we can do. So tomorrow will be chapter 85 of the Krishnabook. And I cannot get it up here. Let's see. Spiritual instructions for Vasudeva and the return of the 6 dead sons of Devaki by Lord Krishna. So that's going to be another interesting chapter. Yeah. So thank you so much. And see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.